So who am I? I'm Beth Tucker-Long. You can find me on Twitter as E3BethT. I do have my slides posted online, so I'll give you a link to those as well. I'm the editor-in-chief of PHP Architect magazine. If you've never heard of the magazine, please come and see me. I'd love to hook you up with some free issues. It's a digital magazine. And also, if you've ever thought about writing for a technical magazine, please come and see me. We have technical editors and copy editors to help you out, so don't worry if you're not a great writer or if you've never written before. All you have to be is excited about a topic, and we'll help you with everything else. I'm also a teacher. I teach PHP classes as well, and I'm a freelance consultant. I have audience participation during my talks, so brace yourselves for it now. Feel free to ask me questions during the talk. I don't mind if you ask me questions. And I will stare awkwardly at you guys until someone answers when I do ask a question. So pipe up right away and save us all the hassle. So what am I talking about today? I'm talking about usability. So usability is sort of this big, grand theory that a lot of people talk about. But what it boils down to is what we want to do is structure everything that we do so that our users aren't complaining about us on Twitter and Facebook. Okay? Because they say there's no such thing as bad press. They are wrong. Okay? The last thing we want is our users talking about how horrible we are and scaring off potential new customers. Okay, so what's the first thing someone's going to do when your site is difficult to use? They're going to go elsewhere. They're going to leave. Okay? There are so many websites out there. You guys are not the only option. So the first thing they're going to do is not contact you and ask for help. The first thing they're going to do is just leave and never come back because it was hard. Okay? We don't like things that are hard. Okay, so what's the first thing we do when we're talking about usability? The very first thing you need to do is figure out who are your users. Okay? So your users, are they very technical? Are they not very technical? Are they in a hurry when they come to your site? Or are they looking for something that's going to slowly walk them through things? What do your users want out of your website? And along with that, what do you want out of your users when they come to your website? Because those are often very different things. They want to come to your website to compare prices. You want them to buy something. Okay? So how do you get them to do what they want to do and also what you want to do as well? Another great thing to find out about your users is where are they going to go if your site doesn't work? And why does that site work for them when yours doesn't? So keep an eye on where your users are going when they leave. So what kinds of things do we look at when designing for usability? The first and foremost thing you want to look at is learnability. Is it really difficult to learn how to use your site? As intuitive as you think your site may be, your users still have to learn to use it the first time they come to your site. And we want to make sure that's as easy for them as possible. Obviously, the internet has made us all very impatient. We don't want to spend a lot of time having to wait for things or doing things. We want it to be fast. So make sure your site is very efficient. Make sure that the things your users want to do on your website are easy to find so they don't have to remember 12 steps to dig down to find something. Because users don't like to have to remember things, especially if they're only coming to your site maybe once or twice a year. Make sure that your errors are easy, clear, and recoverable. And lastly, and this is listed last because it's the least important, not that it's not important, but it's the least important of all, is make sure your site looks nice. Obviously, if it's hideous and horrendous, it's hard to convince people to stay. So what are some common problems to avoid? Well, first and foremost, the important thing to remember is once you figure out who your users are, realize that you are not one of them. You have worked with the software, you know the back end, you know what happens to it when the data comes in. You are too close to the project. You are not a user anymore, even if you are a customer of the same site. Okay? You are no longer the user. You need to find someone who is completely unrelated to your company to give you feedback about the user side. We want to make sure we don't overwhelm people. We want to be very consistent. And like I said, we don't want to make people remember too many things. So let's take a look at how some of these things work in practice. Okay? This is a little bug. Basically what we're doing right now is going through my pet peeves on websites. So bear with me. Okay, so typing practice. Here we have a pretty simple form. I won't tell you whose website I stole this from. So we have a simple web form here. We're going to go through and we're going to fill it all out. And we're a good user, so we're going to be very careful and conscientious. We've filled it all out here. We have everything right. Okay? Oh no, our passwords didn't match. And there's no way we could possibly have checked that no matter how carefully we did it. Because obviously it displays as asterisks, so we can't double check that. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, just that even a careful user could make that mistake. So what's the first thing you notice here?
Empty.
It's empty. How many people love to see this? No, okay? We don't like practicing our typing. We don't have to practice or type it in over and over again. So make sure you are not deleting good data. If a user gives you good data, hang on to it. Don't make them type it in again, because chances are the second time, they're not going to do it. Or they're not going to do it as well as they did it the first time. So if they give you good data, hang on to it. Here's another one of my favorites. Here's our web form again. What do you notice about this web form?
Select a state.
Select a state. Yes. So it looks filled in, but it's not, right? Okay, so I clicked sign me up. Here's what happened. It tells me please choose a state. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to select a state. I'm going to click sign me up. And now what's going to happen?
The password.
The passwords. Exactly. Make sure your error messages actually tell the user what they need to know, okay? We don't want to have them go through this continuous loop cycle where every time they click submit, another red error message pops up. Okay? That makes them feel like they can't move forward and they will stop trying. Okay? So here's how we should fix something like that. Okay? All we have to do is just add a simple line saying, please choose a state. Oops, except it shouldn't say and state. This is what happens when you tweak your slides right before the talk. Okay, so see, spell check doesn't pick that stuff up. So please choose a state. For security reasons, please re-enter your password. Okay? Simple, simple, but it tells them what they have to do. We can even take it a step further and highlight those fields for them. Now they don't even have to read the error message. They just automatically know, okay, these red fields I need to do something with, okay? So you can even take the reading out of it for them by doing something like this to highlight the fields. So the goal in all of this is to be forgiving and empowering to the user, okay? No user likes to feel like they're stupid. No user likes to feel like they're too dumb to use your website. So make sure that you're making it feel like, oh, no problem, I can fix this. So make it very clear to them what they need to do to change things. Okay, here's another one of my favorites. What's going to happen when we submit this form? Because where is everyone going to click?
Clear form.
Clear form, because we don't read buttons, we just click. And at least in the US where I'm from, we read from left to right, so obviously the rightmost thing is the last thing I do on the page, right? Because then I'm leaving, so I'm moving this way. So I'm not even going to read it, I'm going to click clear form. Okay, I'm done, right? It must have done something, okay? Okay, now if I'm a smart user and I think, wait, this isn't quite right, and I take a second look and I realize, oh, clear form, shoot, okay. I'm going to retype everything again, okay? Now what's going to happen? Yeah, exactly. I don't know if you heard Derek. Why is there even a clear form button? I don't know, but so many people use them. Okay, and this is my favorite part of the clear form button. Okay, so I forgot to pick a state again. Now what's happened? Because now you've taught me to click the button on the left, and now the buttons have changed. Okay? Be consistent, okay? If you're teaching me to do something wrong, at least stick with it till the end of the form. Okay? So make sure your buttons stay in the same place. Okay? Users are not going to read your buttons. They're going to click without thinking, and then they're going to be lost and confused as to what just happened. Okay? So an easy way to fix that, if you have to have a clear form button, which I don't recommend, put it way, way over on the left-hand side. And in fact, you could even use some pictures to help because, again, pictures and colors help a lot more than text. And so obviously there we have a red, meaning stop, and it's going backwards, and we have a green moving forward. Okay? So that's a very clear sign to people that, hey, clear form is going to take me backwards in the process, whereas sign me up is moving me forward in the process. So let's talk about user expectations. Okay? Here we have a simple list of links. Where do you think these links go? Or I should say, where do links normally go on a website? I'm sorry?
Other website.
Yeah, another website. Other pages in the website. Okay. So what we don't know about this list here is that perhaps a day in the life of an astronaut actually does take you to another page on this site, but Biography of Neil Armstrong drops you off at Amazon because this is their referral link to get you to buy the book through their referral link. Okay? Now, most users might notice that they've left your site and arrived on Amazon. But believe it or not, a lot of people will not notice. And suddenly, there's a new menu bar, they can't get back to your site. They don't know how to find it again. So what we want to make sure is if people are leaving our site, we're letting them know. Okay, early photos of astronaut training, maybe that's a pop-up for a slideshow, Lightbox or something. Okay? that can startle a lot of people because all of a sudden there's this thing over the top of the website, and believe it or not, a lot of people don't understand that you can hit escape or mouse over the X to get back. And so suddenly there's something stuck in front of the website. And we don't want them to feel like they have to leave our site and come back to use everything. The last one maybe is a PDF. Now PDFs generally are handled in browser by a plugin, but some people don't. Okay? Some people can't handle PDFs within the browser. So what happens then is they get a little pop-up message that says, this website is trying to download something onto your computer. Or it says, this website is trying to open up an external application. Okay, we know what that means. They don't. What do they think it means? Virus. We've taught them that when a website tries to download something that you didn't expect, it's bad. It's a virus. Don't do it. And we don't want our users thinking our website is giving them a virus. Okay? So make sure that your users always know what's happening. We don't want to make this a scary experience for them. And we definitely don't want them telling people that we gave them a virus. So you can do something very simple here. Here we have buy the biography on Amazon. So we're just letting them know you're going somewhere else. Here we just can say, hey, it's a slideshow. You can tell them it's going to pop up in a new window or something. Or just mention that it's a PDF. Those kinds of things will really help the users. So little things can go a long way with helping your users. Then you end up sites like this. Okay? Users are not going to read the text. So what they're going to read on here is create an account, sign up today, check them out, okay? None of this makes sense. It doesn't tell us what we're doing or where we're going, okay? My other pet peeve, welcome friend. If you walk into a store and somebody walks up to you and says, welcome friend, what are you going to do, right? Don't do that. It's creepy. Okay? So always make sure that if the users are just scanning the buttons and bold text on your page, that they can understand what they're supposed to do. Your marketing department may have written some wonderful expose on how great you guys are. Nobody's going to read it. So make sure the Cliff Notes work. So do something like this. Okay? Create an account. That one's pretty descriptive. What we've done here, sign up today. Now we've got a link to the newsletter and the catalog of products. So they know what they're signing up for. We've made it highlighted. They can click directly to those items. Down here, now we have read reviews and view catalog PDF, as opposed to just saying, check them out. Well, check what out, you know? Okay, so just make your buttons and things more descriptive. The same thing works in a block of text. If you have links in a block of text, okay, they're going to read sign up, this site, click here. Okay? Click here is the worst link ever, okay? Because people are just going to read click here, and how many people are going to click on something they don't know what it's for? Hopefully no one. So we want to make sure that we're much more descriptive and use things like create an account, sign up for our great newsletter, read product reviews, browse our products. So use a little bit more verbiage in your links and it can go a long way. Another one of my pet peeves, what color are links? Okay? Links have to be a specific color. It doesn't have to be blue. It can be a different color that matches your design, that's fine. But be consistent. Okay? People don't like having to slowly move the mouse cursor over to see if it flips into the hand, and then they can click on something. Make it obvious to them so they can go right there and click on it and be on their way. Don't make them guess, and don't make it look like this. So yeah, just don't. And another one. Remember going back to knowing the user and you are not the user. We want to make sure that users have the information they need when they need it. Okay? How many people have ordered pizza before? Okay? Okay. What size do you want? 12 inches, 18 inches, or 24 inches? Or I should probably switch it to centimeters or something here, right? I'm sorry. No? Inches for pizza? Okay, okay, there you go. Yeah. They get much bigger, trust me. Okay, so what size do you guys want?
12.
Okay. What kind of questions might you ask if you call and they ask you that? How many does it serve? Exactly. Because what's the real thing you need the answer to? You're trying to serve a certain number of people. You don't care how many inches big it is. You just care about how many people are going to eat. Don't comment, Eric.
How many slices?
How many slices? That's another good question, although, I mean, what if they're cutting them very small? I mean, you just never know. See, the real question is how many people will this feed? Okay, so we want to make sure. Oh, I was going to talk about this too. Okay, how about the pizza crust? Which one do you want? I don't know, right? The new original, does that make the original very bad? I don't know. Okay, so the information that you need is not necessarily the information that the user understands. Okay, so when you're making the pizza, you need to know how many inches wide to make it. As a user coming in, they just care about how many people are going to be eating it. So make sure you're understanding and transmitting the information in a way that your users are going to understand it. Okay, so you can quickly add in something like this. Okay, feeds 1 to 2, 2 to 3, etc. And here we can say like, oh, it's hand tossed with cheese baked into the crust. Okay, that sounds delicious, right? So having just a simple amount of text to help the user get the information they need. Because even if you have that information somewhere else on your website, you never want your user to have to leave your order form to go find that information, because chances are they're not going to find their way back. Okay? So if we keep all the information here so that they can have the information when they have to make the decision, they never have to leave. They can just keep going and give us their money. So now that we've talked about some of the common problems, how do we test to see what our problems are? Well, the first up thing you want to do is create personas. Now, a persona is an imaginary person. So what you do is you think about who's coming to your site. Okay? So we're talking about ordering pizza. Who would be an imaginary customer of a pizza place besides all of us? Let's be more specific.
Drunk college students.
Drunk college students, yes. Drunk college students order a lot of pizza. How about frazzled parents with screaming children? Yep. Or, it's what?
This is something guy.
Yeah, exactly. So we have tons of people that can order pizza. Okay? What we need to do is boil it down to maybe the top 10 kinds of people that are going to be ordering pizza. So think about who's using your site the most, who's doing it the most often, and you want to target them. Or if you're going to be targeting a new audience, make some personas that fit into your new target audience. Okay, so we create these imaginary people. And the next up thing we're going to do is create a list of tasks for these people to accomplish on our site. These can be things that they want to do on the site and things that we want them to do on the site. So what we want to do when we do that is identify simple tasks, break them down very small, and we want to make sure each task has a success criteria. So for instance, perhaps it is ordering a pizza, and the success criteria is that they receive a receipt. Okay? That way we know for sure whether or not the test succeeded or failed. Then, once we have all of this done, we want to find people that match our personas. So we're going to find real people who do not work for our company, who do not already know about our company. You can find existing customers, but you want to make sure they aren't tied into the company behind the website in any way. So they're not consultants, they're not, spouses of people who work at the company and things like that. You want to find people who are unrelated to your company other than being your customers. And we're going to sit down with them and give them the list of tasks and ask them to complete it. Now the best way to do this is to do it so no one is watching them. So videotape them, watch them from behind a two-way mirror, something like that. Because if you have someone sitting in the room and you're at the computer and you say, okay, go ahead and log in. What did I just do? I just pointed at the login button, okay? You can't help it. Even if you don't point, if you sit on your hands or something, you can't help but look where they're supposed to go. And people are amazingly good at picking up on those cues. Also, having someone sitting in there is going to make them nervous. And on top of that, you're not going to be sitting there when they have to do this at home. So we want to find out exactly how long it takes them without having anyone around to ask for help. So you want to try to put them in by themselves. So what kinds of things do you test when you do these persona testings? If you're doing a redesign, start by testing your old design first. Even if your old design is terrible, your users are used to it. Even if they complain about it, they know where everything is on your old site, and they're going to be mad when you change it. So what we want to make sure we do first is find out what are their expectations based on our old website. What kinds of things are easy for them to do? What kinds of things are difficult for them to do? Where do they look first for things on our website? Okay? Then go through your competitors' websites. Do some user testing with those. Find out what's really easy on your competitors' websites. Chances are they've already done user testing. They figured out some awesome things. Test it and find out what it is. Okay? Not only that, but your users might have just left your competitor's website to come to yours. So what we want to do is not make the same mistake and drive them away a second time. So what can we improve? Check out sites that are popular with your users. Even if they're completely unrelated, they are still teaching users how to use websites. Okay? Where's the login button on a website? Top right, exactly. It's in the top right. Why is it in the top right? Does it not fit anywhere else on the page? No, it's just that's where we expect it to be. That's where we naturally look for it, because over the years, websites have taught us that that's where it goes. So now that's what we expect. So even if your website has nothing to do with Facebook, Facebook is teaching your users how to use your website. So make sure to test those websites that your users use, even if they're totally unrelated, because it'll give you a lot of insight into what your users are instinctively going to expect from your website. And of course, you want to test your proposed website to make sure you're actually fixing the problems that you think you're fixing. A lot of times users have problems, but they can't tell us why they're having problems. So we might think we've solved a problem when we really haven't. So what we want to make sure we do is create the design, test it with our users, then make improvements to the design and test it again. We never want to leave a design untested, thinking that it's passed all the tests. Because every change you make may affect something else that we don't expect. So make sure you're always testing after each iteration. So if you take nothing else away from this talk, make sure that you're keeping things simple. The more often that someone has to do something on your website, the easier it should be. If they have to go through 27 clicks every day to use your site, how long before they find an easier place to go? I mean, it just takes too much time. It's too many clicks. It's not fun. So what we want to make sure to do is find out what our users use the most and make that the easiest thing for them to accomplish. We don't want to be wasting any clicks, any keystrokes, and most importantly, any time. Okay, so brace yourselves. We're going to talk about some real live websites and about how their usability is. These are pretty horrendous, so here we go. Hopefully no one made these. Okay, so here's a website, and I found all of these just a few months ago. These are not very old. And I've put the links. It's kind of hard to see here, but if you get my slides later, I do have the links so you can check them out for yourself. Because one of the things you really can't appreciate on a slide is how long this page goes for when you scroll down. It's about 10, 20 more page lengths. Okay, so what do you guys think of this website? Are you signing up? Anybody know what we're signing up for? No idea, right? Okay, any guesses? What do you think this website does? And don't just say delivers pain. You might think that, but no. Yeah, you can buy something. I don't know what. Science. You can join. Okay, so way up at the top in the blue text that's not a link is the Ohio Academy of Science. So then if you squint really hard and read this tiny little print in the lower right corner, it explains what that is. Okay, where's the navigation on this site?
Oh, is there?
Yes, and yes, and yes. Okay, so there's navigation here. There's navigation across the top. And this second column in here that looks like advertisements is actually part of their main navigation. Okay? All right. What color are the links on this site? What can you click on? Some of them are blue. Some of the blue text, including some underlined blue text, is not clickable. Sometimes it's red, sometimes it's yellow. Sometimes it's blue highlighted with yellow, my personal favorite on the page here. Yeah, so obviously everyone's laughing looking at this, right? That's not the response we want our users to have when they come to our site. So keep in mind these kinds of things. Okay, we're going to take a look at another one. Give it just a minute. Yeah, okay. Someone told me after my last talk to make another slide with it paused so that people don't have to do it, okay? First and foremost, never use blink, okay? But especially don't use it on a large paragraph of text. It's really hard to read things that keep disappearing, okay? Okay, so what does this website do?
Wet.
It's wet. They sell stuff? Actually, they're, yeah, water management stuff. If you can read the yellow on this background, they're a consultant company. So they design and consult for something.
They water pitches.
Yeah. What color are links?
Red. No, buttons.
A few of the links are red. Some of them are blue, but this blue text in the middle is not a link.
There's also download button.
Yeah, yeah. This is probably my favorite part of this website besides the blinking, is this button here that just says download. Yeah. Someone in my last talk was brave enough to click on it. I was like, yeah, I didn't click on it. But apparently it goes to another website where then you can click another link to download their PDF brochure. So yeah. Okay. So navigation for this site, where's the navigation? Yeah, it's buttons on the left. So they have that going for them. We could find the navigation. The buttons are relatively descriptive, but use a lot of abbreviated words so that they all fit on the same size button. That rarely works for your users because your abbreviation internally is probably not the same abbreviation that some random person at some company who is just trying to hire somebody who knows about this stuff but doesn't actually know about it. They're not going to understand your internal abbreviations. So don't use abbreviations in your buttons.
It's quite a long list.
Yeah, it's a really long list of buttons. Some subcategories would probably really help. We don't want to overwhelm people with choices. And if anyone is very interested in hiring the web designer who did this, you can contact them at Bite Me Web Designs. Okay, now pretend you have never seen this website before. Okay, you don't know what it's for. Okay, just looking at this page, what does this website do?
Sells apps.
It sells apps. Okay, and if you are not a programmer, what is an app?
A game.
It's a game. A game for what? Your phone. Does this company sell things for my phone? No? Okay, what else do you notice about this website? Where's the login? Top right, so we can find the login. And they've even taken it a step further, because what's the most common thing you're going to do on this page? Log in. That's what you have to do every day when you come to this page. There's not much else to do on this page except log in. Okay? So what they've done is instead of making you click login, which takes you to a form that you then fill out and click login a second time, they've put the form right there so you don't have to click it. Okay, what else do you notice here? Yep, you can sign up. Notice anything strange about the sign up form?
Put your email twice.
Yep, they ask for your email twice, but your password once. Is that right or wrong? It's weird, okay? That's right, it's weird. It's weird because websites have taught us that you enter your email once and your password twice. They've taught us that that's how it goes. But why do we do that?
Because you don't type the password twice in the same way.
Sure, because it's unlikely you're going to type your password twice wrong. Okay? But if you lose your password, or if you type it wrong, what do you need to have to recover your password? Your email address. Okay? What happens if you don't remember which email address you used?
You just click forgot password.
If you don't know what email address you used?
Yes, and guess.
Well, but what if you typed your email address wrong? How do you recover your password? You call them on the phone and hope somebody answers? Right. So, oh yeah, exactly. If we know someone at Facebook, we call them, but the average user can't do that. Yes. Okay, so what they've done is identified what is the most important piece of information for their users, and they're asking for that twice to make sure they have it correctly. The password, well, you just click forgot my password. So that's not difficult to recover and change. But if the email address is wrong and you forget your password, you're out of luck. Okay, so what they've done is, even though that's against convention, it's what works best for their users. Okay, how about this? Birthday. How many websites do you sign up for that have to ask for your birthday? Too many. There you go. So it's not necessarily a standard thing. So what they've done here is they've added a link that says, why do I need to provide my birthday? So what they're doing is, without making you leave this form, they're giving you the information you need to make the decision of whether or not you want to let them have your birthday. Okay? How about this line down here? I don't know if you guys can read it, it's kind of small. It's the languages. And what they've done too is they've written each language in its native language, as well as sort of an English translation-ish, or an alternate translation.
No, it's the local.
It's what?
It's the local.
Oh, I see the countries. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's not how you guys spell France, is it?
Correct.
Yeah. So that's why I said alternate. It's sort of local. Okay, so they're giving you the option in your own language.
This US English.
Exactly, that's an important distinction. Okay, so taking a look again, wipe your minds. We know nothing about this website. What does this website do?
Dating site.
It looks like a dating site. Exactly. And it's a dating site where you can create a page for a celebrity band or business. What? Okay, so again, no information about what this is other than that it's free and always will be. Okay, so perhaps they could work on their marketing just a little. Not everybody knows what Facebook is, right? So yeah, so the pictures and graphics that you use, even if they look cool, may not be giving off the right impression for what your site is, for someone who doesn't already know what your site does. Okay, here's another one. Pretend you don't know what this site is and what it does. Okay, what is it?
Lots of space.
Lots of space?
Well, it does look like Gmail. Where's Gmail?
Yeah, it says Gmail, and I don't know if you can read underneath, it says a Google approach to email. So it does tell you that possibly this is about email. Where's the login?
Right.
It's on the right, but it's not in the top right. So create an account is now in the top right, which is a common place for us to look first. And they've actually moved the login to the main page, the main section of the page. Okay? Now they've done this because how many times do you sign up for a Gmail account? For the average user. Again, thinking average user here. Okay? The average user signs up once. Okay? But how many times do you log in?
Every day.
Countless times, right? So that is the most common thing you're going to be doing on this website. So they've made it the easiest and biggest thing to find. Okay? What else do you notice?
Change the language.
Yep, you can change the language. But this is another one of my pet peeves. What do you do to change the language?
Click on English.
Click on English, right? You click on English, which we're already on English. So if you don't read English, it's not an overly helpful drop-down. Once you're in the drop-down, how do you select something? You just let go, or you can, yeah, scroll and click. We have taught users that these drop-down buttons work, that they can go in, look around, choose their thing, and then they click a button to submit the form. Now this form, as soon as you let go, or as soon as you click on something inside that drop-down, everything on the page changes. Now,
Just click on Chinese and
yes. Now if you go in and you choose like Mandarin or one of the other options, this drop-down button moves on the page. So it will not be in the same place. Now those of us who are technical understand, well, it's still a drop-down box, I'll still identify it by the fact that it's a drop-down box. But to the average user, if that disappears, they freak out. It's gone. I don't know what to do. And I didn't even mean to click anything. I just wanted to see what was in there, and suddenly everything's in Chinese. Okay? So we want to make sure that we don't scare our users. We don't do things that they're not expecting. And we want to always give them an easy way back out. Okay, so to recap, typing practice. Nobody likes to practice typing, so don't delete good data. Okay? Don't be sneaky, don't move stuff around, be clear on what's missing. Okay? If you clear out their password, which is fine, just let them know you did so they can fill it back in before they click submit, not with a secondary error message. We don't want to leave them in that loop of, I can't ever get past an error message to submit this form. Keep your buttons consistent. And please, if you don't have to, please don't use a clear form button. Okay? Make the path through your site obvious and make sure it's easily scannable so people can easily just read through your site and figure out where they need to go. So make sure those links and your buttons are very descriptive to tell people where to go. Don't let a unicorn puke all over your website. And if you do one thing one way on your site, do it that way everywhere on your site. If you're going to change it, be clear on how you're changing it and why, so that people are not surprised by any of the actions that happen. And make sure that you're using the language your users understand. This next slide is just for you to read later when you're looking through my slides. Okay? And it's just a list of 21 different usability features. And this was put together in 1997, which was quite a bit of time ago. However, this list still applies today, because even though technology has changed quite a bit, and the way we use websites has changed quite a bit, the way people use things has not changed as much. And so these usability guidelines really do apply for quite a long time. If you're looking for more information, some great places to check out is the Usability First site. It has a lot of great information about what kinds of research they're doing into usability, what kinds of things you can find out, and what kinds of tips you can use on your site. There's a usability toolkit, which can help you test your existing site or set up tests for personas and things like that. Usability.gov is a US government site that talks about usability guidelines in the US. And even though it's US-centric, it is still very helpful. Just as a general usability website, they have a lot of good resources listed on there. And Jacob Nielsen, if you go to his website, it looks horrible. It's totally horrendous. But he has some really good articles on usability. Why he doesn't apply them to his own website, I don't know. Okay, but he does have some good articles. But you'll have to squint a lot. It's so yellow. Okay. Okay, so I would love it if you would find me at some point after this talk. I know there's not much of the conference left, but I'll be around after this. You can find me on Twitter as well at E3BethT. I'm involved in my local user group. If you are not involved in your local user group, I strongly recommend that you find it and get involved. I can't tell you how beneficial a local user group can be for building your network, helping you learn about new things. I mean, it's basically free education every month, okay? And the best way to learn something new is to have to give a talk on it at your local user group. So find a user group, get involved. If there is not one in your area, then you should start one. And I would love to help you. So contact me on Twitter or drop me an email, and I would love to help you get the resources you need to get that started. My slides are available on Joined In, as well as here, treelinedesign.com/slides. And don't forget about asking me about the magazine. And last but not least, I would love feedback on this talk. I basically rewrote it about an hour before this talk. So I would love some feedback on how you think it went so that I can improve it for next time. You can send me feedback through Joined In, 8059, or you can just click on PHP UK, which I believe is at the top right now, and find the talk that way as well. You're also welcome to email me. I have multiple email addresses. So if you get my business card, it has a different email address, but they both still work. So beth@blueparabola.com or beth@musketeers.me is what it says on my business cards. All right, any questions?
For some of that stuff, so making the buttons look like they should do what they actually do, would you really say that's a developer task, or more that's down to designers and we can't really affect that?
It depends on the company you're working for. In larger companies, you might be so far removed from the design team that you don't really have control over a lot of this stuff. But that doesn't mean you can't make comments to them, pass along feedback as well. It depends. In what I do as a freelance consultant, a lot of times I'm doing the front end and the back end, or they give me a design and I code it up. So I can have a lot of input at that point. They don't always listen to me, but I can at least give them my input. So even though you may not have a lot of control over these things, just knowing about them can help as well. Run, run!
Do you have cheap practices for testing? Because sometimes just to create personas and how much testing do you need? You can't really measure it, and you overshoot and
yeah. Persona testing can be very expensive, especially if you reward your customers some way, give them something, or pay people to come in. If you can, I don't recommend paying people to come in, because then you're going to get all sorts of strange people coming in just to get the money. But if you can offer them some sort of in-company benefit, then you know you're getting your customers who are interested in your product. But usability testing can be quite expensive, especially, and time-consuming. If you're sitting down with 200 people and you have to do it one at a time, that takes a long time. So another thing you can do is just simply, put it up on Twitter and say, hey, what do you guys think? I guarantee you, if there's something wrong, you'll hear about it. So ask people for feedback, even generically as well. You can do that. So if you can't afford to do the regular testing. So it's just somehow get outside of your company. So many people are just like, well, I sent it to this department or I sent it to that department, but that department already knows what you're doing with the website. They already know what you're trying to do. They know how to fill things out correctly. They might come up with something if it's really obvious, but you really want to get outside of your company and to get people outside.
Can I just follow up on that? Could you give us some examples of some real times when you did user testing for the websites and how you got the people involved? Because I think that's quite hard.
How I got the actual people who came in and did the testing, or sure. So there is a website for a small nonprofit in the town where I live, and they hired me to work with them on their website. So what we did is the nonprofit served families of people who come with sick children to the hospital. And so they help find those families housing in town so that they don't have to pay for hotels. A lot of them have to be there for a month or so, and it gets very, very expensive when you're already paying so much for the hospital care. And so what we did is we worked through the hospitals, and we asked them, you know, hey, could you show this to them? Because obviously they can't give us the information of which families might be interested in knowing about this service or who might be our potential customers. There's not really a good way to say, hey, do you have a sick kid? Like, that's not cool, right? So, yeah. So what we did is we contacted the hospitals and just asked them if they could pass this along. We just gave them packets to hand out and asked them to give it to the families that they thought might be interested, and asked them to do it at home or do it wherever they were staying. And they would do the testing, and then it would submit back to us. Now, in that case, we couldn't get the video recorded feedback. But in that case, they had a pretty vested interest in what we were doing in offering housing, because it was a very good benefit to them as well. And so we did get some very good feedback, them just reporting back to us about what was hard or what was confusing. So not necessarily an ideal situation in that we couldn't video record them, but it was an interesting way to do it. Other times you can go through agencies that have lists of people, and you just say, I want a list of this kind of person, and they'll sell you a list, and you say, send them out a letter and say, hey, would you come in and test out this new thing? And sometimes they'll come and sometimes they won't. So that's another way that we've gotten people in as well. So is that what your question was? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to know, have you had many cases where users have given feedback and it's turned...
Where users what?
They've given feedback, or they've said that something confused them or slowed them down, but the tests have proved otherwise?
When you say the test, do you mean like unit tests are proving that it's faster, or something?
No, if you actually time them, I'm thinking I can't remember, I read in a book where they'd done a test on a form, and one of the things they tried was making the button red for the clear form. Okay. And a lot of users said they really liked that because it stopped them from accidentally clicking it. Okay. But out of all their users... People were still clicking on it? No, people weren't clicking it even without the colour. Oh, I see. And yet every user that logged into that form with the coloured button actually took longer to fill in the form because they were... their eyes were drawn to the red button. Sure. A lot of times the feedback users give you is not actually what's happening. But what they tell you is almost more important than what's actually happening. If it only takes them 30 seconds to fill out the form, but they think it took a long time, it doesn't matter how long it actually took. If they think it takes a long time, they're going to complain about it. So in the case of feedback not matching what you're actually seeing, I mean, obviously you have to weigh it. In the case of the red button, if they weren't clicking on clear form anyways, maybe it's not a problem that you really need to solve. But if they all said they liked it, then that's a positive thing about your website that they appreciate. So it's not that hard to make the button red. Why not, make them happy, So you kind of weigh, okay, what is their experience that they're having versus what's really happening? And oftentimes their experience is going to be more important than what's actually happening. Because if they think it's hard, even if it's not, if they think it's hard, they're probably not going to use it. Mm-hmm.
I have a question. What's your opinion about ClickTail or some similar services?
As far as like tracking where users go on your website and things like that. I love seeing where users are going on my site. I love pretty much any service that will track a user's path through the website, as long as it's not getting too personal with my users, because I don't want third parties getting too personal with my users. But I think it's very interesting, especially if it's one thing to know like, oh, this user came in from Google. But it's another thing to know on my website, they clicked here, then they were here for 20 seconds, then they clicked on this page and they were there for a minute, and sort of follow their path and to find out, most importantly, where were they when they left your website? Now, is that a natural ending place? Like, oh, the confirmation screen for an order. Of course, they left your site because they were done, okay? Or did they leave your website when they got to the product display because they saw the price and said no way and left? Those are the kinds of things. Where are they coming in? Where are they going as they go through your website? And where do they leave? But having statistics too can be great in that if you have some page that you're spending hours and hours maintaining, and then you find out no one's going to that page ever. Okay, either you need to adjust the layout so that it's easier to find that page, or you need to find out why your users aren't using that page that you guys are investing so much time and effort into. So I love those places. But like I said, there's privacy stuff too, so kind of weigh that. You don't want to be too intrusive into your users' lives as well.
Okay. I would like to add the one thing I hate most with modern websites: bad captchas that you just can't read. I can't read a captcha. It's so annoying. Every time you want to sign up somewhere and there's a captcha, you recaptcha and recaptcha. Still, I just can't read it.
I know.
So please use a proper captcha library, which actually generates something you can read.
Yeah. Not only that, but they've done studies showing that like machine code is actually better at figuring out CAPTCHA than the average user is. And so I don't see the point in having it at all. But that's just me. But maybe that's because I find it really annoying too. So.
Do you consider A/B testing a good method once you've actually decided a good design?
I do, and I wish I had about an hour longer to cover all that during this talk. Yeah, I do find A/B testing very positive. It can be a lot more expensive as well, though, so it's not always an easy option for smaller companies. But if you can afford it, A/B testing is very great. And the links that I sent have some great articles on A/B testing. And like I said, if I had another hour, we'd go into that as well.
Google had, I don't know if they still do, they used to have a service on analytics. Google used to have a service on analytics that helped you sort of see if A/B testing was working.
I think they still do.
Yeah. I've not looked into it for a while, but it's possible.
Sure. I believe they do as well with the analytics. They do have the A/B testing, and a lot of like mail sending programs will offer A/B testing for like your subject lines and your emails and things like that. But true A/B testing with live users can be very beneficial, but it gets, you're using twice as many users then. So. Okay. How are we on time? Because I'm on the next panel.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're pretty much on time now.
Are we on time? Okay, good.
Yeah.
I was really worried with that. I added like 20 new slides today, and I was really worried that I was going to run over.
I've got one, I suppose, to sort of help you get as far along in your process as possible, just as a development team. Have you got any good techniques for helping your own team sort of think in an abstract or in an impartial way about your own design while you're actually doing it before you get to sort of user testing stage?
I find with developers the best way to point out the problems in their own design is to find some horrible website that does the same thing. So, for instance, so what you do is find a website that does something similar, because it's really easy to critique other websites. It's very difficult for us to critique our own, and I'm guilty of that as well. I love my design, I did it, it's all mine, it's wonderful, nothing's wrong with it, right? But you look at somebody else's and you're like, that's terrible. And then you can calmly point out, oh, same over here, So I find sometimes bringing in that outer influence or those outside sites just to get the discussion started can sometimes be a good way to sort of ease the tension and open up the door to talking about, well, why is that bad and what can we do differently to make it better.
I think we should probably wrap it up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry guys, I would love to talk to you more later, but I'm on the next panel too. So real quick, I have business cards and stickers up here. The stickers are the address for the magazine website. So if you'd like a free issue of the magazine, grab a sticker and grab my business card. Create an account on the magazine website. Drop me an email at the email address on my business card and just tell me you saw my talk at PHP UK. You can take a look at our back issues. If there's any specific issues you'd like, let me know which issues. Otherwise, I can just give you a bunch going forward and we'll go from there. So, and yeah, please come find me and talk to me later or drop me some feedback on Joined In.